我남편 타다니면 심지어 탐지 땡지다 와 탐지 너는 나 양다고 너 상대지 보고는 뭐 제가 진행 양보를 쳐. 이 체도 냐면 다고를 무지 송 타고를 무지 인지 남지는 반미니라 제가 년배권에 또 심지어 탐지 나무당 주는 편다고 자고 운영도 그런 정주처도 샘제의学生的书
Just as space is limitless, so is the number of beings. And all of these beings, to establish them in the awakening of Buddhahood, in the completely omniscient state of full enlightenment of Buddhahood, this should be our motivation, this should be the goal which we strive for. So with this goal at our hearts, with this intention at our hearts, we should set out to listen to the instructions on the JOOL ornament by the incomparable Nyenpa Rinpoche or Gampopa, his JOOL ornament of liberation, which if we put it into practice will become an extremely efficient and extremely profound path. So with this intention, let us now listen to the explanations.
가다가 담보니 이미를 숨는 다 뒤잖아. 장주 셈지 장주 셈 냠바 장주 셈데 돌나 이거 가져요. 이거 숨요. 이거 담보데 가래. 예배 내려라도 그래서 가래서나 셈지랑 못 당하래. 내가 다 예배 셈지 함재게 하나면 뭐 두빈 살아연주 저는 마주하래 육샤하래. 육샤도 셈지랑 못 걸어래. 셈지 누나. 근데 얘가 참 장주 셈바다 얘가 전부 대전에 장주 셈바데 니베 그네 장주 셈 냠베 셈쟁이 생기 되는 주가 있냐마 대시에 뭐 전도는 냠을 근데 대라되는 장주 셈바티 셈쟁이 되는 냠베 장주 셈바라니 싸고모 공에게 유된 토발라 유좀 공부라 대라 바세 방법이라 이것은.
So over the course of the last couple of days we have heard explanations about how to give rise to the enlightened attitude, what are the benefits of doing so, as an antidote against our ignorance of how to proceed upon the path. This has been explained under 12 headings or under 12 points, of which we have heard explanation of the first 10. Now the following one, the 11th point, goes on to, is it the 11th? 8th, yeah. Anyway, the point which follows now explains the shortcomings and the negative effects of our giving up this attitude again. If we were to have taken upon ourselves the resolve, or if we were to have to resolve to act for the benefit of beings and then change our minds, what are the negative results of this? And these are briefly explained as mainly three, summarized in three headings. If we have resolved to do so and then change our minds, then it is as if we would have been, as if we were cheating on all of these beings for whom we have promised to bring about the best possible conditions and then changing our minds to do so. So it is said that for ourselves the benefit which derives of such an act will gradually decrease. Similarly, at the same time, it also decreases by way of our trying to act for the benefit of others. There will just be no benefit whatsoever if we should then decide that we want to give up on our promise again. And thirdly, it is said that our own progress upon this path, which leads to the awakening of Buddhahood, will be prolonged, will take that much longer. We will be thrown back upon that path, and it will take for such a much longer time for us to proceed upon this path.
투몽도 전화 되네 심진 르방와 나고 취시 된바 되네 시와라기 우수시나 민주배 샘제와 스티토랑 틱토가 샤비 동네 송 당부디 심진 르방와 사야다 something to do, man, start training on the something pen down man, something, something like that. Then the tea into the Nabu Shushi, Dharma. Nabu Shushi said the Tambo, you Tama Lama, Wadama, Churua. Then anybody, Jebet name my Imbala, Java Jechuba. Then a channel and some one of the young woman, the young man is saying, then Jebet name my Imbala, Java Jechuba. Then Jiu Tambala Guataba. Then something on water. Tishi the Nabushi, Tishi Dana, and some shoulders. Then Minduba Sem Javas, Minduba Sem Javasna, to Tirenes on the something of Pentagosona, and Pentagman. Never the dog with Tuishona, and never the two men, some and the Semjana, the Minduba Sem Javasla. Tisum Diana, and the Chan Sem Joy, you in this one.
They know the Kangchi,
지당 투문치나 디숨도 주숨 시바로와 내가 강화로와 식대매 하는 장류섬 쇼하래 지를 미송도와 담보티 가서 선전을 방법이지 되네 나고 출시 때문에 이들 做 장류섬 쇼 유인 송하래 되나 되네 뒤定도 시와来공부하잖아 되네做学术的民族审计上呢跟장류섬 쇼 인스 대 시와의 공부를 너무 수
So if we were to think about the idea of abandoning our bodhisattva wish or bodhisattva commitment that we might have taken upon ourselves, which circumstances can lead to this in the first place? Or what are the possible reasons for doing so? It is explained that there are two reasons, two sources which lead to such an idea, or if one explains it according to the explanations of Shantideva, one could speak even of three. The first of them would be that we would exclude even a single being from our well-wishing, from our acting for the strife of others. If we exclude only a single being, then our bodhisattva resolve would be damaged or would be broken. The other would be if we were to fall under the influence of what literally is called the four black dharmas, the four black activities or negative attitudes. The first of them, the first of these would be simply to give up the idea of acting in such a way altogether. Then there would be the idea of showing regret where no regret is called for, where it is misplaced. For instance, if we were to encounter someone who is about to practice virtue, if we were to tell this person, you're getting yourself into a whole lot of trouble and this is so tiresome, just leave it, just give up this virtuous project of yours. If we were to produce regret in such a person about his wish to practice virtue, then this would again be a complete breakage or a complete damage of the bodhisattva commitment. The next one would be to talk in a negative way about our spiritual guides or about generally those who practice virtue. And the fourth would be to be deceitful. Now I have to correct myself concerning the first point. The first negative activity, or black dharma as it is called, would be to try in any which way to fool one's teacher, to lie, to speak the untruth towards one's teacher. So these four. And then according to the tradition of Shantideva, according to the way how he explains it, then the third of these causes would be that we give rise to just generally give rise to a negative, to an unwholesome attitude. If any of these three, or according to the other tradition of the first two, come to pass, then our bodhisattva resolve, our bodhisattva commitment would be broken, would be abandoned.
Then, 주직바 쇼나 실 쬐베타. 디 멤베 셈 쇼와라 때네 주성 쇼와래. 디 치나 라양도 말랑마차 시엔루 무슨도 말랑마 디 도지 되는 주부도 맞서주마.
Now, how can our bodhisattva resolve be restored? If under whatever circumstances it should happen that we gave up our wish to act as a bodhisattva for the the sake and welfare of beings, that we have in any which way abandoned this or even broken this commitment, then indeed it is necessary to take it again.
member semje lobja tang juba semje la ni so era tang member semje lobja de la dong yore semje le me tang wa tang semde pen chen ja tang yang yang so ni sa per cha wa tang yang yang sang sing dang wa tang ka na chue je lang de ma bo member lobja du she de dong de na ma de tang bo semje le me tang wa da ji de chang ju semje pen chen ba cha wa ni so dang bu cho dang yi xi ge so ni yang呢样都啥个啥话松，但那常住个什么样呢样都空心里边去吧那西，但那搞不去西浪，那不去西帮我的，刚那去就浪不给那样的，那个那嘛，那在甚至个老是有人送来。
This brings us to the final point, which explains to us how we have to act, what it is that we need to train ourselves in. How do we give rise to this enlightened attitude in the first place, and how do we put it into practice? Again, this has been summarized under 5 headings by Gampopa. And in these 5 headings, he tells us that the first of these 5 is not to exclude a single being from our resolve. Constantly to remind ourselves of the benefit of taking such a resolve upon ourselves. Third, to constantly strive to bring about the 2 accumulations, the accumulations of merit and wisdom, insight. Then to put this into practice again and again, to strengthen our resolve again and again. And then the 5th point is that we should altogether abandon all, as it is called, black dharmas and exchange them for the white dharmas. So to completely abandon non-virtue and exchange our non-virtuous deeds with virtue.
당고대 선진 论当往下级그래 선아 상주 선 랑 상주 선 랜사왕 상주 선 양소 량바디 뭐냐면 다 상주 선 미쇼를 다 그러더니 선진 论当往 근데 니버의 선디 패런 전바下的见了的大概的知道당고대 니버 이제 체계 당고대 선진 论当往下的就是상주 선디让约巴的미쇼를 다 你把的身体培养成了，现在上述身体健了的呢，两毛多把它培到健的这样的，反正这些这样的上述身体健第一把拿过九毛多把，第一把多少毛多把它培到的，因为身体培养那样的这样话，从你上班下娃是样的，上述身体多，可能工作培养他们，上述身体有了健身嘛的，可能工作培养他，但呢，长生样样长生讲话当是样的。 상주 샘데 다른 등이 한다고요. 다들 당고 숨어데 상주 샘데 똑지를 타긴 시험 상주 샘데 똑서에 가서라 상주 샘데 누가 다른 샘생의 시간 주에 가서라 다른 장 샘생 장망에게 상주 샘마다 강해지게 하래. 대신도라 샘생의 도연 주발아야 뒤 하장은 전국에 강해지게 해. 他们呢，下个月内得会计不当完说金不当完旅金不当完说我从这个来干的好，我们下个月给来忙个月，从这来样，那是民雄帮是多明年呗，他把说你上面下是得用月说啊，下就做的让民生接着吧，建接着吧这个些话，等呢，看到的样样像什么讲话是啊，你就是想就是省的，光能工作配合他。 但是我的刚那确实让到这个常住的生命没接了他们说，常住生命有了接什么的没接了他，第一种生活的能这块。
Now to these 5 points, why are they so explicitly explained? What is the point of these points? The first where it says that we should not exclude a single being from our resolve simply aims at our not falling under the sway of such difficulties, not abandoning our attitude altogether in such a way. If we were to keep all beings constantly within this resolve, without excluding a single one, that would then, in a certain way, make sure that our resolve will certainly not be abandoned. The second one, to constantly remind oneself of the benefit of taking such a resolve and constantly acting with whatever appropriate means for the sake of all beings, is much the same. If we constantly remind ourselves of the benefits, if we also remind ourselves of the shortcomings of giving up such a resolve, then constantly having this, keeping this in mind, keeping this at heart, the idea of giving up our resolve or breaking it will not appear in the first place. The second point then deals with the constant strengthening or widening of the two accumulations of merit on the one hand and of wisdom or insight on the other hand. What are these two good for? These two accumulations help us very much in the face of all kinds of problems or difficulties that we might encounter upon our bodhisattva path. Difficulties that could possibly arise are the possibility of being disheartened at the sheer scope of that which we have resolved to undertake. If we remind ourselves of the innumerable number of beings, we could be disheartened. If we remind ourselves of the fact how long this could possibly take to lead all beings to liberation, we could possibly be discouraged. And if we think of the fact that however should I be able to help anyone in the first place, I should be able to exchange myself for others, to do whatever is required in any given moment, and how could I possibly do this? All of these ideas could weaken our resolve, could cause discouragement within ourselves. But that will not happen if we are endowed with the two accumulations of merit, which comes through acting for the welfare of others, and of course through wisdom and insight. Then the fourth point, again, is much the same as the third, even though in a more general way, where it says that we should again and again strengthen or reassert our resolve. And then finally this leads us to the fifth point, which then almost goes without saying, that on the basis of such a resolve or such a decision of truly acting for all sentient beings, without excluding a single one, we will then of course naturally strive to abandon whatever non-virtue we are able to, and to exchange such non-virtue with virtue. This serves also to constantly remind ourselves of this resolve, so it will never ever be forgotten in any which way.
유슝 파체를 나는 계절 말아오마다 연구요데 투몽도 장수 남르고 공부체네 장수 남유주만 조지 송의 공부 조제 연구 때는 하고 수준질 라바 신지 라바 셰럽질 라바데 라바 순나 냠년시야 딩주가 선지 같은 송아래 대한 장수 남르나야 때는 주베 선지 당이 dom네베 수준 라바 순나 내가베 수준 라바 순나 구지는 유로스 주베 tomba rangi jula nebala tene 주베 tombe nyameng gures nyameng de shi khangdo chegona tene laba churimde laba tingzenze laba sharate laba sunna nyameng chana tene laba sunna kuba cher gures shi tila shane laba sunni nyameng de jubesange tombe nyameng.
This brings us to the bodhicitta, or the enlightened attitude of application, that which is actually truly to be trained in, that which is to be done. This has been explained very succinctly in Atisha, by Atisha, in his famous work, The Torch of the Path, the torch that enlightens, the path that leads to enlightenment. And he says so that when in this text it says that this comes under three headings. The first that one would have to take upon oneself is a certain disciplined conduct, a certain discipline or conduct in such a way, which becomes the basis also of the following ones. If we give rise to such a disciplined conduct, which in this case particularly pertains to bodhisattva conduct and so forth, then the following points arise out of that. On the basis of such disciplined conduct, one is then supposed to train oneself in meditative absorption, in stable concentration in such a way. And this has then to be coupled with insight, understanding, insight, or wisdom, which is being produced on the basis of these two. So these three, combining them, bringing them into action, if one were to follow such a path, they would have to be employed.
Then lava sutum jitala control. Then lava semi lava is like in the and lava things in lava tea, Paruchima, Mava, something Paruchima do. Then lava Sherab and lava de Jurudi Sunja, not the Jigga company.
So from among the 6 parameters or the 6 transcendent virtues of which we have already heard, the first 3, those of generosity, of disciplined conduct, and of patience, these 3 pertain to the first of the aforementioned 3, as Atisha explains them. Then we have the fourth one of the 6 parameters, which is this of meditative absorption or meditative concentration, which is the same as the second one, is the second point of Atisha. And then when it comes to insight or understanding, this is then the 6th and final of these 6 transcendent virtues, namely that of insight or wisdom. This leaves us with one, which is the 5th one of the 6 parameters, which is joyous effort, which of course has to be employed in order to actualize all of these. So in this way it has been taught, it has been set down in the Sutra Alamkara, which is one of the instructions, the second of the instructions by Maitreya. So in this particular way, referring to the 6 parameters, Gampopa also goes on to say that by way of putting into practice generosity, disciplined conduct, and patience, meditative stability or absorption, joyous concerted effort, and insight or wisdom, a way of putting these into practice, bodhicitta or the enlightened attitude is actualized. And he goes on to say that these need to be explained individually under various headings. And the next verse goes on to say exactly that. He explains how these are being explained. And Gampopa says concerning the number or quantity, the particular order, concerning their characteristics, the meaning of the words, the categorization, and the summary of these. Under these 6 headings, the meaning of the 6 transcendent virtues is being summarized. To the first of these points, the number or the quantity. Why are there 6 parameters, 6 transcendent virtues? This has been explained again in the second teaching by Maitreya in his famous work, the Sutra Alamkara. And he says, in order to achieve a rebirth, a higher rebirth, a rebirth in pleasant circumstances within this cycle of existence, it is necessary, absolutely necessary, that one trains oneself in generosity, in disciplined conduct, and in patience. However, should one desire to achieve full awakening, to become free of this cycle of existence and go beyond this cycle, then one has to couple these 3 with the practice of meditative absorption or meditative concentration based upon our joyous and concerted effort, and based upon this give rise to wisdom or understanding. Now to the second point, which is the order or the sequence of these. Why are they named in this particular way? It is said that if we if we train ourselves in generosity, then this in turn will give rise to disciplined conduct. Having given rise to disciplined conduct, we find it easier to give rise to patience. On the basis of this, it will not be all too difficult for ourselves to give rise to what is called joyous or concerted effort. And on the basis of this then appears meditative concentration or meditative absorption. And this finally culminates then in our bringing about of wisdom or understanding. So in this way, the order, the sequence is explained.
대라 바로도 심바 대라 때네 레레라 때네 라만의 넘버를 또 베이시 제바 수바디 바로도 심바기 냐면 때네 심제라는 게 인도에서 탐지 조토바 또 시바디 근데 바로도 심바냐면 때네 심제 탐지기 유용소 민버체 토바 대라기 신이시시의 바로도 심바를 참고하되 또 진행고 봐.
Now to the next point, which describes the characteristics of these 6 paramitas, these 6 transcendent virtues. It is said that each of these has to be endowed with 4 characteristics in order to truly be a transcendent virtue, a completely perfect virtue. These 4 are again being described, being explained according to the Sutra Alamkara. It says the first of these characteristics is that each and every one of these virtuous deeds has to serve to completely overcome its opposite, to completely conquer its opposite. The second of these 4 is that each and every one of these parameters should serve to give rise to primordial wisdom or insight. Then each of them needs to serve to bring about the fulfillment of all wishes of all sentient beings, so that whatever positive they could be wishing for will truly come to pass. And the fourth and final one needs to be that the result of acting in any of these 6 particular ways should serve for the development of beings, so that each and every one of them can develop accordingly and progress upon the path. So if each and every one of these 6 transcendent virtues is endowed with these 4 characteristics, then it can truly be called a perfect virtue, a transcendent virtue.
tene da toge na ro jinba sna khare tene uwa ro sha ba jinba tene tsuchim zhe dongele tane silwa dongele tare silwa to ba je silwa silwa to ba je ba tsuchim tene kong cho la di so ba gombe kong cho la so ba to wa so ba je ba so ba 준주 세야데 람 공마라 함 람초라 야 조르체가나 준주 근데 삼된 살아유는 이 생기 치료의 인원의 난도 뒤에 난도 제집을 등한지나 네네 삼된 근데 셰랍 살아유는 나담베가 니로 치지만 뭐봐 양담을 셰베나 셰랍스 바로 정말 둘이 니시기 자체들랑 거
Now follows the explanation of the meaning of the words, the actual names of these 6 transcendent virtues. And this particularly pertains to the meaning either in Tibetan or also in the Sanskrit, from which they have the names of these, from which they have originated. The first of these, the generosity, the paramita of generosity, is defined as bringing an end to poverty. Giving others whatever one has to give brings about the end of their suffering of poverty. Then the next is the paramita of disciplined conduct, or of discipline for that matter, which brings about a certain positive, virtuous conduct, a way of behavior within ourselves. This then again gives rise to the paramita of patience, And this patience, which we give rise to, which we strive to practice ourselves, works as an antidote against anger, against hatred. It allows us to remain calm and peaceful in the face of such circumstances. Then, the next parameter, the parameter of joyous and concerted effort, brings about all the qualities within ourselves which link us to the path that we are traversing. So we are propelled along on this path. This in turn leads us to the fifth parameter, which is that one of meditative concentration or meditative absorption, which serves to enable us to focus ourselves, to center ourselves in the face of all kinds of distractions and so forth. And then finally, there is the sixth parameter, that of wisdom or insight, which brings about discriminating awareness in ourselves. Discriminating awareness in such a way that we come to recognize that which is false as opposed to that which is true.
다 라도 예당 도와데 라도 예와스라 라도 예와스라 연도 시신 원도 yenga 공부를 시작을 하면서 공부를 또 yenga 공부라 김발라 소 남로가 대다 소수를 두바요 고제 주바 강인데 주신 주게 지신시에 시행을 진배 진마 진배 수진 때문에 진배 서바 진배 준주 진배 선대 진배 시작 바로 그 말을 relaya 두기 또 제연도 두루 서로 게 예와디 바로 좀 막이냐면 relation 하고 말해. 이 라도 예와서 지리 예와서 많이 맞지 나세 예와도 라도 예와서 시중 온도 되게.
From the first four of these 6 points, which is the number, the sequence, the characteristics, and the meaning of the words themselves, these we have already heard about. Now there remain the fifth and the sixth point, which is the categorization and the summary of these. If we were to categorize and yet subcategorize these 6, we might think already, but there are already 6, and they have been categorized already. But according to the first teaching of Maitreya, which deals with the transcendent virtue, wisdom, prajna, paramita, from among his Abhisamaya Lankara, we learn that each and every one of these 6 can yet again be subcategorized into further 6 categories by way of combining each and every one with the other. For instance, if we talk about the parameter of generosity, then we would talk about the parameter, the generosity of generosity, the patience of generosity, the conduct that is being displayed while practicing generosity, the discipline and the effort that is being practiced, the mental stability that is being brought about through generosity, and the wisdom or insight. So in this way, each of these 6 can be combined with each other of the others. So in this way, we end up with 36 subcategories.
라도 예당. 근데 주보데 도와스라. 도와스데 바로 지금 주데 강민한도 두고나 초나만 이게도 도와요. 소남게 초라. 단데라 이두당 뭐요. 때문에 차베 카시나, 슝카시나, 짐바 수진 소소송 소소. 들은 짐바 수진 소소송 소소. 때문에 삼대나 셰럽니데 디시게 초. 준주 디니게 조인 소무지. 이나야 그는 리가는 상타님 타버는 젠디나게 공부를 좋은 거도 젠게 공부 계속 좋은와. 인로인도 때문에 짐바 수진 니고데 소나무 소라샤. 때문에 셰럽데 이시게 소라샤. 항숨 서바 준주 삼대선데 때문에 니가 조인 그도 젠게 공부하시는 소나무.
And this brings us to the final of these 6 points, which deals with all of these 6 transcendent virtue, which simply is called the summary. In many different texts, we read that the transcendent virtues of generosity, of disciplined conduct, and patience serve to bring about the accumulation of merit, whereas the transcendent virtues of meditative stability or concentration and wisdom serve for our accumulation of the wisdom or insight. This leaves us with one, which is the fifth or the fourth of these parameters, which is known as joyous effort, which is the link between these two, which brings these two accumulations together. However, Gampopa explains it slightly different here. Again, he explains it according to the Sutra Alamkara by Maitreya, in which he says generosity and disciplined conduct are the source for our accumulation of merit, whereas the transcendent virtue of wisdom, prajna paramita, is that which brings about wisdom and insight within ourselves. And the remaining three, patience, meditative concentration, and effort, are those which link these two. What follows now is an explanation of each and every one of these 6 paramitas in great detail. They are being explained under very many headings, which simply would be too much to explain here now. There is not enough time. This would go way beyond the scope of this course. But if one were to familiarize oneself just with one of these as a substitute for all of the others, they can be looked at under 6 headings again. The first of these points is which, on the one hand, shortcomings or mistakes, or on the other hand, which qualities are being brought about by way of employing such a paramita. The next point is the essential meaning of it. Then then yet again the categorization, the various categories or the various headings or points under which it comes. Then the next point is the individual characteristics of it. Then how to increase our practice of this paramita, and the resulting the results which are being brought about. Yeah, how to increase. The 5th point is how to increase and how to keep the paramita in a pure way. And then the final point is the result which is being brought about by way of practicing such a paramita. These points pertain to the first 5 of these paramitas. When it then comes to the 6th paramita, the paramita of wisdom or insight, then the final point is slightly different. Concerning the 6th parameter, then points 4 and 5 are different, in as much as here we talk about the knowing or understanding the significance of this parameter and how to familiarize ourselves with it. So at this point, Rinpoche chooses to make a break for now, and that which follows the various paths that have to be traversed by the individual practitioner, we will hear an explanation of that then tomorrow.
Jetzt können wir ein bisschen üben.
Now we should train ourselves a little. So each and every one of us has already heard about so many different kinds of meditation. We could practice shamatha, vipassana, we could give rise to loving kindness and compassion, we could imagine ourselves as the Yidam deity, or simply train in the knowledge that there is no self, no I of any sort whatsoever. So whatever practice each and every one prefers, let us practice this now.
gome versa jinne dire gome versa jinne temena tene gomya we mo ma so mo gome versa jinne mena tene gomya we mo ma so tene me gom ma sha chen bo dan na men de wa cha wo me gom ngang sha me gom so do gom je me ba ngang sha ro do sa nya jo nam khang chen na yang tene ni lu versa que tengo mayo ba dele ba madebe ngane tang을 껴놓은 당시 대단량도 세토나 망사 참고스 공초도 좀 같아요. 저녁에 다 아직 니로 이공 양다고 그래. 다 뒤용아 타면 아주 공작이 말을 말로. 딱원 어디 있나 저거시 되는 팽이 말. 근데 인도 이 저소 내내 당보 쥐면 공, 근데 쥐면 공을 공 남만 주는데 근데 공작이 위해서 샘도 되네요. 예도 될 것으로요. 남도 제 야, 냠샤 것으로 남도 주 뒤네. tendensia de gömme komse. Det är ändå gömme komta. Gömme komne majöbe komge tonle på indu. Så mi momati majöbe kom tola ya jag tala. Alltså gömme komge den rogo indu gömme komde 가져 있나요? 퉁퉁다. 저거 저거도. 된 저거 저거네. 된 저네 때는 마jöbe 되는 내가 다시 제고 아마도 가지이나 gömme kom나만 되나. 되는 kom야. 야나 요 말에 쓰네. 저당 차진 조선 3만한테 소문. 돈이 공리는 되나.
Now, concerning all this training, this exerting ourselves in practice, Patrul Rinpoche, in his famous work on Dzogchen, the striking at the three words which strike at the essential point, said, "Effortlessly rest in radiant clarity." Effortlessly means without having to train ourselves in any way, without having to bring about any contrived way of sitting in particular positions and holding in particular views or ideas and so forth. This should be done effortlessly. However, in order to get to the point where we can do so effortlessly, we have to make an effort. We have to train ourselves. But the ideal would be that we are able to uphold this radiant clarity in whatever we do, not just bringing about any particular effort, not only while sitting down in a particular posture on our meditation cushions, but in our everyday lives. But in order to bring about this effortlessness of resting within this radiant clarity, we have to make an effort. And this is the practice, the sitting down to meditate and practice as we are doing. So in order to get to that point where we rest in such radiant clarity naturally, we have to do something artificial first, which is to sit down and train ourselves in this. However, this is the goal, that eventually we overcome all effort, we overcome all artifice and just naturally rest within this. Therefore, this effort, as long as we have not gained such insight yet, has to be made. And once we are there, then we will effortlessly rest within this. These are the words of Dzogchen Patrul Rinpoche, and accordingly we should then practice. Yeah, so whether one trains oneself in Dzogchen or Mahamudra or simply in the insight of emptiness, shunyata, the principal means to do so, to go about this, is exactly the same.